What's happening? We've done the opening. We've developed content. We've delivered. Now it's time to close properly. I want to make something really clear. I mentioned it during the opening, and I want to be really clear on this one. The way something begins and the way something ends is largely the way people remember the entire experience. One of the biggest, I'll say, mistakes that can frequently happen when facilitating education is getting too lost in the content and not allowing enough time to close properly. And there's a number of different pieces to closing properly. I think the best way is if I gave you like a fake close and then we dissected it from there. Sound good? Sound good? I'm gonna believe you just said sounds good and I'm gonna go for it. Okay, fantastic. So I've just finished my last piece of information. Oh, here, check it out. And just like that, you have the most amazing styled hair you've ever seen, and the guests will always make sure they come back. They'll rebook and they'll be a client for life, guaranteed. Okay. How does everybody feel right now? Everybody feel good? Everybody feel good? Cool. I know. We covered a lot. We covered a lot today. I want to make sure. Do we have any last questions from anybody regarding anything that we discussed today? Remember, I'm your resource while I'm here. And actually, when I'm gone, you can follow me on social and stuff. I'm happy to stay connected. In fact, that's what I do, is connect. All right. So, but right now, is there any last questions? Okay, fantastic. Yeah, got it. Yeah, answer. Got it. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your questions. It really brings all of this to life, and I know that everybody got more gifts. Listen, everybody, give them a huge round of applause for actually asking those questions, right? Fantastic. Okay, now there was something that I remembered. I got so in the flow that I forgot to mention something about the blow drying, about the product application, layering versus this. So I want to just make sure that I close that last loop so that you're using the products correctly, because to operate the blow dryer and the brush is key, but without the products, not really going to work. All right. So let me just share a little bit of that first so that I close that loop, right? And then we can move on. Sound good? Right, fantastic, right? So I'll describe that. Now, here, check this out. What I now like you to do, all right, is I'd like you to take a moment, open up, grab a pen and paper, open up a journal, and I'd like you to take 3 minutes. 3 minutes, everybody, how many minutes? 3 minutes. 3 minutes to journal about today. Journal about the experience you had with everyone here in this room today, and journal about all of the things that you learned and the things that were most impactful for you, yeah? Cool. I'm going to put on a little bit of music and just settle in and really reflect on our experience together today, okay? Cool. Okay. All right. 3 minutes is up. Come to the close of whatever you're writing. No rush. You need to cut it off. Finish your thought. Awesome. Cool. So I want to say, thank you so much. You really lived up to everything that we said when we did that code of the class. You kept your minds open. You were fully present. And talk about participation. Outrageous. I know. I learned something. I got to tell you, Greg, when you shared about that little tip about wrapping and then unwinding and hitting it going down, oh my God, thank you so much. Blew my mind. And now I promise you, Greg, I'm going to be using that behind the chair. How useful is that, everybody? Give a huge hand to everybody who shared their insights, tools, and techniques as well. Remember, it's not just me who makes this event come to life. The fact of the matter is, the people who make it come to life are all of you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your presence. And thank you so much for your commitment to be here fully for this day and share this experience with me. I promise you that as much as you got out of it, I have equally as well. Listen, a couple of last things, all right? Here's a couple of places where you can stay connected with me. Here's my social, my website. Something that I do, is I make a commitment to every team that I serve, that now I got skin in the game. I've seen you all. I like you all, and I want to see your success and I want to see you succeed. All right. So here, any of these techniques, I know they work. I've used them for years, while facilitating events. If you find that's like, whoa, I tried this and it didn't quite work the way I wanted it to, it's like, I give you my commitment that if you DM me on these platforms or if you email me to my website, I will respond within 48 hours with either a short written explanation, and if it's something a little bit longer, I'll arrange like a short call with you just so that I could work it through with you so that you can truly add this to your tool belt of tools to utilize when you're facilitating. And I have to tell you all something else too. Leaving here today, two things. Don't try and change the way you do education overnight. Take one element that we shared today that you think you'd like to play with first, that you think would have impact in your education, and implement it again, and play with it again, and make it your own. And once it's mastered, take another element. All right. If you try to transform everything, you'll be so far outside of your comfort zone that actually none of it will work, and your default will go back to what you already know, and then you won't have all these new tools. You'll walk out of here with the same tool belt you came in with. All right. And I have to share with you that when it comes down to it, you know, it takes time to truly learn. You know, we've shared a lot. There's a lot of ideas today. Do yourself the favor of giving yourself the grace to learn things properly so that you can truly transform, your events, the times that you spend with attendees, and so that you can do it effectively on an elevated level, and a growth. I continue to grow myself, and it's so important. And I believe that what we shared will allow you to do just that. And another call to action, if I may, is the best way to learn something is to teach it. When it comes down to it, teachers are leaders, all right? And the major thing about leaders is, who are you developing, right? So whoever that person is, who you think has that fire, who you think has that potential, even if they're your assistant and you're like, and they may have a long time till they're facilitating anything, drop a little bit of something on them. Remember, they still got to speak to clients, and communication is communication, right? And for you to really retain the information, the more you talk about it, the more you share it, the more you'll solidify it in your own mind. All right? Awesome. Thank you all so much again. I appreciate you all. Please stay connected. And I want to say lastly, this day was so important to me. And my time with you is even more important. And please know, when I share this connecting with me information, it's not just words, because I'm not in it for a day rate. I'm in it to truly connect and really build lasting, meaningful relationships. Thank you all again so much. Have an amazing, amazing rest of your day. Thank you. Okay, what happened? All right, first thing, right, as you see, I changed the energy. I was first delivering, I moved out of content, and then I stopped for a moment, right? Here's a little tip, side tip. Don't be afraid of silence. Every second doesn't have to be filled with you yapping. Actually, sometimes silence is good. It's allowing information to process in people's minds. Be okay with that, all right? And as you see, I took a little pause, and then I dropped the energy, and then I asked for those last questions, all right? Because, a lot of times, you may not have a question in hour 2, and then as we discover something and discuss it in hour 3.5, by the time we're at the end, guess what? I actually now have a question about hour 2, right? So you want to always give that opportunity so that everything is tied up neatly in a bow, okay? So that everybody leaves here with the gifts, and maybe even more gifts than they came here for initially. Second, and this is your mindfulness. When the heat is on and you're in front of the attendees, sometimes you can get so wrapped up in what you're speaking about, and I don't mean this in a bad way, that you may forget a little element. All right, and it's never too late. You just got to remember, and at the end, close that little last loop. It shows your awareness, it shows your consciousness, and it shows your accountability. The worst thing to do, as an educator, and this is content, close, open, whatever, is to make a mistake and act like you didn't make a mistake. Better, if you cut a lopsided bob, you're better off saying, whoa, everybody have that day when you just can't cut a line straight? Unfortunately, this is that day, and I'm in front of 80 people doing it. But I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to hold myself accountable because this is not the way we leave our guests. Rather than saying, wow, look at my amazing line. Doesn't that look great? It's like, no, actually it doesn't. And then you lose your credibility and everybody's lost, all right? So that's the same thing with the closing the loop. People know that you didn't tie that one up with a bow, and ensuring holding yourself accountable that at the end it's like, no, I remember too, and I'm tying that sucker with a bow too, right? It'll mean a lot to the attendees. It means a lot to your credibility, and it holds yourself accountable to the type of excellence that I know you want to deliver. Next, I gave them a chance to journal. Such a tool for anchoring information, okay? To give a certain amount of time, depending on the length of your program, right? 3 minutes if it's, 4 or 5 hours, maybe 5 minutes if it's like a multi-day, 7 hours, 7 hours or multi-day. Right, you don't want to give too much because now you're past journaling. You're actually like writing a novel, so we don't want time for that, right? It's like boom, just journal, right? Great. And actually, as they're doing that, they wind up really absorbing and retaining all of the information that was shared. And if I may, I'm going to actually hold myself accountable on this video. Because after that journaling, if you really want to drive it home, take some shares about the learns. I didn't include it in the video. All right. So what that would look like is after everybody's journaling, okay, great. Everybody, finish your last thoughts. Great. Are there any major learns that anybody would like to share with the group that came out of today for you that you just journaled about? Boom. Take a couple. Clap after each one. Celebrate those learns. Celebrate those wins. Celebrate those observations. They deserve it. So that brings home the journaling, actually. So there's your reach, closing a loop. All right. And then the next thing I did was share my information, my contact information, right? Because I want people to know that, like, this isn't like a drive-by. Like, I'm here for you. I'm an educator. I don't just deliver information, hope you got it, and go running off into the night, right? I hold myself accountable. If you have questions, I know this stuff works. I've done it, right? I've seen the results. If they're not working, perhaps I didn't explain it correctly. Worth noting. See how perhaps I didn't explain it correctly. It's not, maybe you missed it. No, actually, perhaps I didn't explain it correctly. Always, it's you, right? If you don't like the answer, it's the question that's the issue, not the answer, right? So that's a you thing, right? Take responsibility for that situation and make sure that people can stay connected with you so that you can build relationships, real meaningful ones. That's what I want with my clients. That's what I want with my students. And that's what I want with every attendee that attends my events. This is community. And that's what we do as educators. Foster that. All right. And then again, you can't thank people enough for their time. You can't thank people enough for their energy. You want to acknowledge all their participation, all their shares. If you notice, I even celebrated, and trust me, when you start doing content and you develop it and you have activities and you're debriefing and you're having more shares back, unless you like delivering a lecture series, trust me, by the end, you're going to learn something. Probably multiple things. One of them is going to be mind-blowing. Call it out and celebrate it. Remember, so that this is an even exchange. You don't want the relationship to be here, where you're here and your attendees are here. No, we're all professionals, learning and growing together. I just happen to be the one on the stage. Yeah, it's important. All right, so that we all feel equal, so that we can share equally. All right, so I celebrate that, and then I said thank you as much again, because people's time is valuable. And then with that, I just walked, I gave everybody a moment. I said, thank you. And I know that a couple of times I've had a standing ovation in my day, and so I always give a moment to, if people clap, this is important. Frequently educators, if you're an educator like myself, actually, I'm a big introvert, actually, when I'm like not in front of a stage of hundreds of people. Right? So when that many people are clapping for me, it actually can be a little uncomfortable, okay? But do yourself the favor and receive it. You've done good work, and you've truly connected and you've shared value, receive the gratitude for that. And from that place, then say thank you again. And then you can step off. Yeah? Cool. All right. So play with this again. All right. These are just the various different tools, why I put them where I put them, why I executed the way I executed them, and the purpose they serve for everything. Remember, and this is my closing thought in the close, is to, I said it before, but it bears repeating. There's always this little voice. Frankly, you're fighting it too as a facilitator, right? Was it clear enough? Did I forget something? Oh my God, I forget something they knew. Oh my God, is something wrong with my clothes? I think my voice just cracked right there. Was I, right? These are all your little, you have to quiet your little voices, right? And remember that when you're speaking, think about the little voices in your attendees' heads, the things that are creating resistance to the information that's being shared, to the conversations that's being had, and making sure that you anticipate it so you get ahead of it, right? Because when that little voice is talking and you're sharing the information, actually that's going to create a barrier for that attendee. And once that barrier is created, it's tricky to take it down. Right? So get ahead of it, and plan that in when you're developing your content. Think about little, ooh, I can see this is going to be a thing. Let's front load this to make sure I quiet a little voice, a lot like I did with the introduction. All right. And that's it. I've done your opening, I've done the content creation, and I've done your close. All right. Please take this all, make it your own. It's yours. And keep working on it. Don't, again, try to transform everything. Remember, tie up the bow. At the end, always give a call to action. Because, see, look at me closing loops. I close in 2 loops. It's like I'm tying sneakers, right? Okay, great. So here, check this out. I ended with that call to action. Very, very important. Without a call to action, we don't acknowledge something that's very, very important, is that learning takes place after the event. It doesn't happen during the event, just like in school, right? Like learning doesn't happen when I'm in class. Learning happens when I go home and I write papers and I read books and then I study and then I take quizzes. Like that's when the learning happens. In education, in adult education, everybody somehow forgets that. They think that they've learned everything in 6 hours. Impossible. Right? Definitely, right? So the call to action is always to be generous, to tell everyone, because people can get really excited about what they learn. And then they're like, oh my God, I got to change this. I got to change this. I got to change this. And then like I shared in the call to action, if they try and redo everything, they're going to experience failure, because here, check this out. And this is important throughout. I wish I could tell you everything I know. I'm going to try and keep it brief, but I hope I'm giving you gold. Whenever you're sharing something, you always want to keep 1 foot, and you got to trust me, you can't see my feet, but you can see, you want to put 1 foot in the familiar and 1 foot in the new. All right. You always want to ground the new with some element that they are familiar with. You never want both feet in the unfamiliar, because then you're on very shaky ground and you're going to fall and stumble. All right. And that falling and stumbling for your attendees can be the last time they ever try that again. So it's important to share with them to implement little bits at a time. Put in the work, put in the study, try it multiple ways until you perfect it. And then once you've perfected it and it's become it's truly got a little loop on your tool belt, fantastic. Start building another loop with the next piece of information, right? Gradually makes a huge difference in people's commitment to implementing what was shared during your event. Cool? Cool. Have an amazing rest of your day. I hope you found all of this useful. Take care, and I cannot wait to see all of you soar with all of the brilliance that you have to share with our entire industry. Thank you again. And what do I always say? Talk to you later.